Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Calamere. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, on this manic Monday in the studios of 4680Q Radio. Welcome to the show. I really appreciate you tuning in today. It should be a good one. We've had lots going on over the weekend leading up to Manic Monday. And I looked out, and this weather this morning is crazy. It was raining a little bit, then now it's snowing a little bit. I mean, just that greasy snow, though. Nothing major, nothing that's going to upset anybody, but still, we're getting into April here. It's time to get rid of this crap and start giving us some nice weather, but it is going up to 54 during the week. Oh, we're going to break the 50s, and, a lot of times once we get there, we're there. That's it. But now is a great time, actually, to get your spring yard work done, get out there and start monkeying around out in the yard. Also, to get your spring free checkup at Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop on Oakwood Drive next to the Kia dealership. What does Ken do over at Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop? He goes through your car for nothing. Front to back, bottom to top. Make sure all your systems are running right. Throws your car on the diagnostic equipment, make sure there's no error codes, gets everything running right for spring and summer so you don't have to worry about breaking down on the side of the road. And you want to make sure you get your car in that to do that. That's the least you can do. Be proactive, get that oil changed, get your systems checked. Why not? It's free. Ken's going to give your car the once over and give you the good news or bad news once he finishes. I think it's time to be proactive and get your car in there and make sure it's running great. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, a full body shop. You get in a wreck, he's going to take your car in, send it back to you in showroom condition. You can't ask for more. Give them a call today or check out their website, wildbillsauto.ca. Make sure you get your car in there and have a great motoring summer that's coming up. We're not that far away, a couple months, and we'll be in the summer. Okay, I'll get to my second sponsor, Pizza on Victoria Avenue, towards the half hour. Now, if for some reason you would like to market your business with me, hey, just get a hold of me. You can go to paulamir@cogeco.ca. You can give me a call, 905-353-7560. And let me know through there, and I'll give you the details of it. And I will sit here every day and I will market your business for you and see if we can drum up more business. It's that time of year. People are getting out and doing things. If you have a service, if you have a restaurant, if you have anything that you would like to market, just give me a call. I'll give you all the pricing and everything else. While we're at it, I have this phone right here. Compliments of Gary Wilkins. And basically, this phone, 289-994-7560, will allow you to message me during the show. So if you have something to say, hey, 289-994-7560, and I'll get your message here and I'll read it online and discuss it. Yeah, it's always fun to do that. So we have that. And of course, you can go to my YouTube channel, Paul Lemire 4973. You can subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps me to get the show out there to more people. The algorithm will pick it up. The more the merrier, and we'll get right through this year to October, where we have an election coming up for city council and regional council. We want to make sure we're involved and we're voting for the people that we want on city council that will help us to save a little bit of money, maybe for a change, straighten a couple of departments out that maybe need it, whatever. But obviously over the last 4 years, our taxes have gone up 25% on the city level, 33% around that on the regional level. So there's a lot of room for improvement and a lot of room for people who want to save us money and who are not going to be spendthrifts. They're going to spend our money wisely, do what they're paid to do, protect our hard-earned tax dollars. So, yeah, we can go through all that. So, And if you get to Polymer 4973 and you see the show, leave comments. Always read comments on the air, and we go through all that. So, speaking of viewer comments, we will attack them right now and see what we have from our viewers. On Thursday, March 19th show, I read some of the comments. I had another one at Michelle Guret. Great show, Paul. You are spot on about Cuba. Been going for years and have a few good friends there. And yeah, it's tough in Cuba. I mean, it's they're toughing it out here. And I know people are calling Trump a a very cruel person. No, he's not cruel. Trump is bringing freedom to Cuba. Sometimes you have to suffer a little bit for freedom. Freedom does not come free. And Trump is going to bring it, but it might be tough times for a little while, but it's going to happen. The sooner the better. And I can't wait to see my friends free and to actually thrive, not just survive from day to day, because that's what they do in Cuba, the people there. They just survive barely, and the government just oppresses them. There's no human rights. They don't own anything. They can't own anything. It's just not right. And the Cuban people, if you know them, are beautiful people, Michelle, just like you said. And they deserve better. And Trump is going to bring them better. You can call them cruel. You can call them whatever you want. But this country has been under the thumb of the communists for 67 years, much like Russia, much like Venezuela, much like all of the communist countries. And the people have been oppressed and they've been in bad shape. Now they're going to be free. And you can thank President Trump. No matter what you think he is, the truth is out there. If you want to listen, open your eyes and drop the elbows up, TDS. At Dave Wheeler, 1158. I've been to Paris a few times. Then it was beautiful and clean. I still recommend it. Well, go over there now. Check it out now and see what it's like. It's a dirt-filled dump. And yeah. And I've never been there, and I refuse to go there, to be honest with you. I am not going to that hole. At the Iceman 69, Gary, you notice the shows are getting shorter. Oh, yeah, so they're complaining now my shows are getting shorter. I guess that's a good thing. I'm taking that as a compliment. They want to hear more from me. A lot of people don't want to hear anything from me, but Gary and Iceman 69, Johnny, they want to hear more from me, and I thank them for that. What I'm doing is doing my shows now in the United States time, and there's a 42% exchange rate on that, which brings 42 minutes to 60 minutes. How about that one? Is that a good excuse? But I appreciate that you listen to the show and that you do want me to go the full hour. Sometimes I'm 52 minutes, that kind of thing. At Dave Wheeler, 1158. No doubt Iran wants a nuke. Why? For a deterrent. Look at their neighborhood. Israel has nukes. Pakistan is on their southeast border, has nukes. Serious skirmishes occur between the two countries. The Islamic Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda that exist in their neighbors of Afghanistan, Syria, and Pakistan all regard Iranian Shia Muslims as heretics. That's why they want a deterrent. No, the question isn't about Iran having a nuke or not. It's about whether they're goofy enough, these Islamic fundamentalists who have waged jihad on the world and also have said death to America, which means anybody who is allied with America, not just America itself. They threaten all the time. They have proxy groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis, and probably ISIS and Al-Qaeda and everybody else in Syria that also are on their side and threaten, and they supply them with munitions and they supply them with money. Is this the lunatic fringe that you want holding a nuclear bomb? And you know what? We are going to talk about this a little bit later on. Something happened over the weekend that surprised the world. And we're going to talk about that. So they're lunatics, they're fundamentalists, and they can't be trusted with a nuclear weapon. That's why it has nothing to do with Iran wanting a deterrent. What they want to do is swing the power so that if they have to, they can release this thing. And you don't think they will? Well, you know what? You're the only one in the world who has faith in them, because every other single country in the world does not want Iran to have a nuclear capability. Everybody except Dave Wheeler. He's the only one that would like them to have it. He says it's a deterrent. No, it's not a deterrent. It's not. Nobody's going to launch anything nuclear on Iran. They'll fight them, but they're not launching nuclear on them. What it is a threat to the world. That's what it is. That's what they're going to use it as, a threat to the world. You want to call that a deterrent? You think that they should have one, so they have that capability? I don't know. You never said they should, but even making a case for them sounds like maybe that you think they should have one. But I don't trust them with one. Nobody in their right mind trusts them with one. They're not going to use it as a deterrent. You can't trust them. They're lunatics. That's why they don't want them to have it. And you are right as far as saying they're telling people they want it as a deterrent, but no, they want it as an offensive weapon to launch if they have a need to. Oh, and the Iceman says, or no, Dave Wheeler 1158 says, Trump administration asked for Ukraine to help with the drones. Well, that's what the left wing media and the liars that they are say. Do you think Trump goes around begging these countries for help? No, he doesn't. Any sane person knows that. He doesn't beg anybody. He will ask them if they'd like to help, but he doesn't. But he never asked Ukraine. Ukraine actually offered their services because they are pretty well experienced with stopping drones. They've been doing it in Ukraine for 4 years. They have the ability to do that from experience, how to deal with them, because Russia has been launching the same Iranian drones at the Ukraine. So Ukraine said they would offer help if he wants it, and of course he said sure, yeah, you want to send your guys in to help out, I'll take that. But the thought that he went over there and said, "Oh, will you help us, Zelensky?" No, he didn't say that. Zelensky offered his services. Yeah, they always say Trump has this big ego and call him names and everything, and he would, never allow, himself to, in that case, beg or show weakness. So, he's not going to do that. But I don't know why they'd say this stuff. It's not true. It's just nonsense. Okay, enough of your comments. Thank you so much for those comments. That's my thoughts on it. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But that's the way I see it. I don't know. What do you think out there? Leave your comments. Do you think Trump's going around begging for help? Do you think it doesn't look like it to me? Do you think? Well, I don't know what you think. Think Trump is cruel and mean because he's not giving oil to Cuba? No, he's doing it for a reason, and a really, really good reason. Okay, good news for Niagara Falls. Let's stick in Niagara Falls for a little while here. Our aging wastewater treatment plant is going to get a refurb. Hey, how about that? And it's not only much needed, but important to the safety of all residents of Niagara Falls. Well, speaking of Niagara Falls water, let's have a drink here and see if I keel over during the show. I always drink water out of Niagara Falls, out of our tap. Ah, pretty darn good water. Pretty darn good water. The Region Public Works Committee has approved a one-time emergency transfer of $9.7 million from the municipality's wastewater capital reserve fund for the project to refurbish. The total project comes in at a whopping $34.2 million to fund the entire project. And yeah, we've been reading about this for a long time. It's sorely needed. Without the refurb, the plant risks being properly able to treat incoming sewage and increases the likelihood of a partially treated discharge to the environment. And that happens a lot more than it should right now. So this is fantastic that they're doing this refurb. It has already violated wastewater regulations and more than once. Most recently, a discharge sample killed 80% of the rainbow trout in a lab tank over a 96-hour period. A result exceeding 50% is considered non-compliant. And even that sounds high to me. You're going to put water and throw some trout in it and from the discharge, and 50% are going to die. It doesn't sound like good water going into the Niagara River and entering the whole Great Lakes ecosystem. No, that doesn't sound good. Even 50% to me is high. It should be like 0%. That would be the best, wouldn't it? You agree? Mike Cushman, Gary Wilkins. And this doesn't even address the real need. Another treatment plant is needed and fast. Right now, the city is growing and the region needs at least a $500 million new plant to be built out in the south part of Niagara Falls. It's already planned. It's about money. They don't have the money. The $400 million plant probably will turn into 800 by the time they even turn a shovel. That's the way things go. The region doesn't have the money to build it, so it's on hold. And with the new hospital and growth to the southwest part of the city, this is a must. We have to have it. But like I say, not a shovel is turned, and the new hospital is going to open up in 2028, along with any housing and everything around it. I don't know how they're going to handle the waste without that plant. And like I say, they haven't turned a shovel. When they're going to do it, who knows? Okay, everybody. So what have I got? A ding-a-ling-a-ling, John. Oh, here we go. Johnny boy. That's only a bandage on the plant, and the discharge is ongoing every day, and that's the test they use. True. Right on, John. You got it right on. That's 34.7 million is just a band-aid. You're right. It's just trying to keep it so that it's at least refurbished to the point where it's not as dangerous. And you're right. They're talking needing $1 billion to redo that plant. So good point. Good point, John. Thanks for the message. Well, if you guys are ready, here we go. Get ready to dodge ships. Get ready to dodge ships. Yep, those bridges from the late 18th century that crossed the Welland Canal. I haven't seen anything like it in my life. And 2026, we're still dealing with these decrepit lift bridges. But traffic's going to be tied up because they do go up on a regular basis, and they're back in action because the Welland Canal is officially open for the shipping season. Donald Kemp, and I don't know if you know who Donald Kemp is, but he's the lucky captain. He's the cappy of the Radcliffe L. Latimer. Donned the ceremonial top hat to celebrate his ship being the first downbound ship of the season to pass through Port Coburn. The 45-year veteran earned his first ever top hat in the annual ceremony beside Loch in Gateway Park in Port Coburn, celebrating the opening of the Welland Canal. It's officially open. Captain Kemp rang the bell at the generational bell ringing ceremony 3 times. Once for the past to honor the people that built the canal, once for the present to honor those that keep the canal running safely and efficiently, and once to look ahead to the future of many more safe and successful shipping seasons. It's open. Top hat has been donned. Good luck to the sailors, and good luck to the traveling public having to deal with bridge delays on a regular basis now. It's a pain in the neck, I'll tell you that right now. And you know what? When you're ready to go to an appointment, you have to get somewhere, you can guarantee that bridge is going to go up. Don't even go there. Just go through the Thorold Tunnel and go around it. Okay, so Premier Doug Ford. Okay, John's got another message here. That plant needs almost $90 million to bring up the proper working conditions, the existing one. Did you know they can't build those bridges anymore? They can fix them, but that's it. They can't build those bridges anymore. Are they illegal to build, or what's going on? Or is it like the moon landing? They can't build the rockets to get people to the moon anymore. They threw away the blueprints. I don't know why John said that. I don't know, maybe they're illegal, those bridges or whatever. They can fix them, but they can't build them. That's it. I wonder why. Maybe John will explain it in a message, another message. So Premier Doug Ford is allowing responsible adults to bring beer to local shindigs. And that's a really good thing. Although Mayor Jim doesn't agree and doesn't think there would be much of a demand to take advantage of it in Niagara Falls. That's right. Mayor Jim thinks Niagara Falls is unique. It's unique, all right, I'll tell you that. Because of the tourist aspect and very different from areas like Toronto where a lot of people live in apartments and condos and they don't have yards to drink in. Yeah, no tourists go to Toronto, I guess, and want to hang out at one of the parks or an event, go to an event and have a few drinky poos that they can bring now. I guess that doesn't happen. Tourism doesn't happen anywhere but Niagara Falls, according to Mayor Jim. We're unique. When it doesn't matter though. What this has to do with bringing booze to events, I have no idea. Regardless of the urban situation and tourism, Niagara Falls does have a plethora of events during the summer. Like every weekend, there's something going on, which would allow people to take advantage of this new freedom to bring their own booze. You know, anytime that politicians want to get rid of the nanny state, in other words, putting beer in corner stores and grocery stores and that kind of thing, getting rid of the nanny state, they don't have to watch us all the time. The liberals think they do. Well, that's for sure. Well, I get right behind anything that'll get rid of the nanny state and give us freedom. But you know what? You can go to an event and bring a $14.99 six-pack of beer with you instead of having to spend $60 for six of them, probably more, for the same six-pack at the event. Hey, I'm for that. Of course, it will probably be up to the event organizers to decide the way they want to run the event, but if they do want to open it up and not have to deal with liquor licenses and beers and everything, then they can do it. We'll have to see what this new legislation provides since the events usually raise money for charity and they do make a good buck from booze sales. So that's one bad part about it, maybe. But they can make it up other ways. Either way, whether Jim likes it or not, the legislation gets through, there'll be one more freedom that responsible people can use to make their outings more enjoyable. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, my phone's dinging again. I don't see an explanation. No, I don't see anything that's gone. Yep, no, nothing else there about the bridge. Trying to find out why they can't build those bridges anymore. They must be like the rockets to the moon. Okay, here's a good story. Finally, some common sense regarding e-bikes and e-scooters. And you know, I always complain about those. I'm a big whiner and complainer when it comes to those. They're a pain in my ass. They're all over the roads. They obey no rules of the roads. They don't have to be licensed. They don't have to pay insurance. They smuck into you. It's up to you because they have nothing, these people. And they have no insurance or anything. I mean, these rules are long overdue, and a lot of people complain about them. That's just me. These wannabe sons of anarchy people are a real pain in my ass. They don't, for the most part, obey any rules of the road. And because they don't have to be licensed, are ridden by people who have had their licenses suspended, usually. They're not responsible or safe drivers. That's why they're on scooters. Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria. Prabmeet Sarkaria. That's a mouthful right there. Prabmeet Sarkaria. Who are these people running our country? Every time I look, I can't even pronounce their names. So we have to ensure that our regulations and enforcement. I have never seen any of the rules of the road enforced on these e-bikes matches that of the technology that is ever evolving so quickly. That's what Prabmeet said. Prabmeet. Okay, Prabmeet, let me tell you something. It's not the technology that's the problem. It's that these vehicles have been allowed to operate with no rules. That's where the problem is. They do what they want. without repercussion. Nobody arrests them or anything. A lot of them look like real motorcyclists. They look like the motorcycles you'd buy that are gas powered. And some haul ass. I mean, they go fast, keeping up with cars. But those two pedals, there's two pedals there. That's what makes them legal. Two pedals that probably aren't even attached. You can't pedal those things. I mean, when I see them broken down, I don't see people pedaling them. I see them pushing them. And they operate by their own set of rules, running red lights, running stop signs, up on sidewalks, having passengers. I've even seen one towing a small trailer and another one towing someone in a wheelchair. Can you imagine? Big rope to a guy in a wheelchair pulling him down the street, down Victoria Avenue. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I saw it happen. Avoiding tickets that, like any other licensed vehicle would get. And they don't need a license or insurance to operate. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's about time somebody put a hold on these crazies. Yeah, you're supposed to be over 16 to operate the units, but I've seen kids riding them before. No problemo. When the police decide to enforce the rules, well, in Hogtown, they issued 3,500 tickets in just 3 weeks. Yeah, they put a blitz on for 3 weeks and issued 3,500 tickets. Well, yeah, I guess so. Like 1,200 a week. Divide that by 7. 100 and some odd tickets a day. And 130 tickets a day. Just in 3 weeks, because these guys don't follow the rules of the road. Not one of them do. And that about tells you all you need to know about e-bikes and their riders. The number of e-bike related trauma cases at St. Mike's Hospital ER in Toronto rose 240% between 2020 and 2024, and e-scooter injuries rose 600% in the same period. What they need? They'll never do, but this is what they need. Everyone should be licensed and should have some kind of basic liability insurance. And if the laws regarding driving have to be applied and enforced, that's what has to be done. That would cure a lot of the Wild West show we see with these things on the road today. And that's the biggest thing, enforcing the laws. But here we go. I mean, you got Olivia Chow who wants to defund the police. You got everybody yelling and screaming about police and how they always want more money and they want more staff. Well, until the judges in court start throwing these criminals in jail and getting them off the street so the police don't have to arrest them 10 times, and until they start actually licensing and registering these e-bikes and e-scooters as well as having insurance, right, which will take a lot of them off the road because these people can't do it. When you start doing that, then the police are going to have less on their hands and they won't need as many police officers to take care of your city and your amount of money you have to give them to be able to enable them to do their job is what I'm trying to say. I'm Joe Biden this morning. Yeah, it'll go down and we won't be hit so hard. That's what you have to do. That's the way it is. Now, this is a strange one I'm going to talk about next. But before I do, I'm going to get to my sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And whenever you get a pizza, the most important thing is consistent. You want a good pizza. The first time you get it, the second time you get it, third time you get it, you want consistency so you know what you're getting. And how do you get that? Well, you use tried and true recipes for the sauce and the crust especially. The mozzarella blend of mozzarella and brick cheese, that's great. If you put it in on the pizza in the right ratios, you get a great product. But the sauce and the crust are probably the two most important things. Once you have that right, in the right ratios, and you cook it just right, anything you put on that pizza, as far as fresh toppings go, which Pete's Pizza has, of course, makes it just that much better. That's how you make a consistently good pizza. That's what Pete's Pizza brings to the table. And also, they have a bevy of great food. I mean, wings, panzerotti, steak and cheese poutine, regular poutine, steak sandwiches. They have chicken parm sandwiches. I mean, just a great selection of food. You're not going to go wrong. You can't go wrong. How do you get this great food? Well, you dial 905-374-2222, and yeah, or you go to their website. I mean, pizzavictoria.ca. You can order either way. It'll get to you. It'll be delivered fresh to your door. They use all the services, including dine and dash and skip and hop and jump and whatever the heck the other ones are. Either way, you're going to get a fresh pizza to your door. Pizza Victoria Avenue. That's where you want to go. Support our sponsors. They support the show. They support the city. And for your convenience, they've opened a new location on the corner of Thoroldstone Road and Kayla Road in Niagara Falls. So now the northwest part of the city can have great pizza too. Thank you so much for supporting our sponsors. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. Okay, this is a strange one. Whenever your plane lands, you notice everybody claps for some reason. And I sit there going, why are these people clapping? First off, I expect that the plane's going to land safely. That would be my expectation when I get on a plane. I'm not clapping when it lands because I expect it to land safely. Now, if the plane's flipping upside down, the pilot saves it and gets me on the ground safely, I'm going to be clapping. But on a regular flight, no. And the danger is really not over when you land. They're clapping their hands to that. Like when I'm sensing danger's over is when I pull up to the gate, they open the door, and I get the hell off that plane. That's when I know I'm relatively safe, unless there's some crazed maniac running around the airport. Now, Wes, we saw I think on Saturday night at LaGuardia Airport in New York City, right? What can happen even after your jet has landed safely? A regional Air Canada jet landed at LaGuardia Sunday night and, while taxiing to the gate, collided with a fire truck. This is hard to believe this could happen, but it did, killing the pilot and co-pilot, injuring 11 passengers and 2 first responders, with 5 critically injured. And I think over 40 people went to the hospital, and most of them were released. And it's a real crazy thing too. People don't get it. When I was coming home from Florida a couple weeks ago, our jet had to sit on the runway waiting for another jet to be tugged away from the gate. And we were there for a good 15 minutes just sitting on a runway. And personally, I said to Liz, I go, I don't like this situation at all. Because when you're just sitting there, you're sitting target. All a pilot has to do is make the wrong decision on which runway to land on. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen when you're just sitting on a runway for 20 minutes or so. It's just not a great idea. So that was a good case right there, where who knows what could happen. When the pilot and flight personnel tell you to remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the plane reaches the gate and stops, they're not kidding. They're not kidding. While that plane's taxiing, anything can happen. And you saw it at LaGuardia, where the plane actually ran into a fire truck that was cleared by air traffic control, ATC, to cut across that runway, and it was a live, active runway. Mistakes do happen, and we saw it on Sunday night at LaGuardia. There's nothing that drives me more crazy than people who get up before the plane actually stops, and they're pulling their bags out and everything else, trying to rush to get off the plane. I mean, they got to wait anyway because they have to get up. The gate has to be installed. Then they have to open the door, and they don't do that till everything's ready to go. But these people are nuts, because if anything happens, they're standing up. All that baggage is going to come down on their head or whatever, right? So, but I heed the warnings of the staff, the flight personnel, and the pilots, and I sit in that seat until that thing stopped, dead stopped, and I hear the engines being wound down. I have to give my condolences to the injured and killed. A needless accident with air traffic control giving the fire truck that clearance to cross that runway. Tragic mistake. And I'm sure there's going to be a full NSTB, National Transportation Board, inquiry, and we'll find out exactly where the error was. But it looks like it was the ATC giving the fire truck clearance to cut across. Tragic. Use your head when you're flying. Keep that seatbelt done up all the time. And funny, on that flight coming home too, it was really turbulent, heavy winds as you got down to land. And that plane is coming down and it's being jostled by the wind. Then all of a sudden it probably dropped. I don't know. I would say it dropped 20 or 30 feet, just all of a sudden down. Not a lot, but enough to make people start yelling and stuff on the plane. And I'm just going like, yeah, it's windy. I mean, that's what happens when wind comes. The pilots have it under control. I mean, it's no problem. But people, they get afraid, right? And that's why you should have your seatbelt done up at all times. Because if it drops 100 feet, you might end up in the overhead racks if you're not buckled in. Okay, moving on. In the U.S., the Save America Act, that act that wants to alter federal elections requiring ID proof of citizenship to vote, which I believe should happen. I mean, you need it to do so many things, have ID to say who you are. Why would you not need it to vote? One of the most important things any citizen can do for their country. But yeah, it doesn't in these sanctuary states. But has passed the House of Representatives, but is stalled in the U.S. Senate. I mean, who would want people that are not citizens of the United States voting in their elections? It doesn't even make sense. The only ones who want that are Democrats. And they live and die by illegal immigrant voting. The sanctuary states require no ID to vote. And that's hard to believe, but it's true. During the last election, a Canadian went over the border, right across the border, I can see it from here, to a U.S. voting station and actually voted for the president. He asked if he needed ID, and they said, no, go ahead. Here's your ballot. Go vote. It was that simple. And how can this happen? But it does. And that's what the Save America Act is trying to do is make sure that you have to prove citizenship and have ID to vote. And then that'll it. Now they're saying that 20 million votes will be lost because of the illegal voting going on with these elections. And of course, who they're voting for. They're voting for the people who want them to be able to vote without ID. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, and that's going to change. I'm sure it will when it's all said and done. I mean, even Somalia, a real hellhole run by gangs, is issuing voter ID cards. They understand the importance of voter ID, but the Democrats only understand their voter base of illegals, and they don't want to lose that. So they're fighting hard, but it's going to pass. It just doesn't make sense. Why would anybody want that? You want the votes to count, that should count, and the ones that shouldn't count, not to count. And that's what's going to happen. And sticking with that, the Democrats are also refusing to provide the funds to fund the TSA at airports. And what's happening is that it's congesting airports. It takes hours to get through the TSA checkpoints because there's no agents to process it. A lot of agents have quit going to work because they're not getting paid. Some have moved on to other jobs because they can't afford to be off work. They've been off 5 weeks with no pay. So it's limiting the number of people at checkpoints. And I noticed it even 3 weeks ago when I flew back to Buffalo from Orlando. We had about a half an hour to 45-minute wait in line just to get through a TSA checkpoint because there was only a couple of actual stations open to go through. And there was a lineup of stations that were closed. There was a couple that were open. And there should have been probably 7 or 8 with the number of people in line. So it's getting crazy. But help is on the way. It always is in the United States. Somebody steps up. And number one that's happening right now is Trump is going to let these Chuck Schumer idiots rule the day. He's going to say, no, you're not ruling the day. He's not going to let them rule the day. He's immediately asking Tom Homan, Homeland Security ICE honcho, and border czar to send ICE agents to the airports to help with security, which is a fantastic idea. And I saw they were already in an airport helping with security. I can't remember which airport, but they're already there. And the left wing loonies are not happy about it. Uh, but ICE doesn't run under the same budget as the TSA agents do. They're budgeted in another budget and they're getting paid. So they're sending them there. And as an added bonus of ICE doing security checks, if they don't have proper ID when asked for it, they they don't get on the plane. If they're illegals, they're going to be arrested right away and marched out. So they're going to be checking that as well when they're at the terminals. So that's going to happen, and they're going to be deported if they're illegals, so they can't prove citizenship. They're going to be deported, be detained. So there you go. That's an added bonus to ICE being in the airports. Of course, the Democrats don't like that. They're whining and crying. And of course, Chuck Schumer, he still wants to defund ICE. But now, because of the kickback he's getting, he says that he wants a special deal for TSA to end the airport disruptions. I mean, this goofball has been holding up funds for 5 weeks, him and the Democrats. And now he's demanded that Republicans agree to his little scheme here to fund the TSA separately from all the other bills they want to pass. And they're going, no, 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 they're not going to do that. It won't fly. ICE agents are there, and they're going to be assisting TSA. So, ICE agents, Tom Homan said, can't run the X-ray machines and a lot of these other things. You have to be trained on how to do that. But he says all the people who are watching the exits, so people can't do and watching this and that and lines and stuff, and providing security. Well, those people are trained; they can go do that, and the ICE agents will, make sure people aren't getting in that should and that kind of thing. But the best thing about it is that another gentleman, a true patriot, has stepped up, and he said, "Hey, don't worry about it, President Trump. I will pay the TSA agents to do their job." Who was that guy? None other than Elon Musk. That's right. Elon Musk stepped up and said, I will pay the TSA agents out of his pocket until funding gets passed to keep them on the job at airports and keep the airports running at full capacity and efficiency. And it's so fantastic to see him step up and say that. Now, what's it going to cost Musk? This isn't a cheap proposition, ladies and gentlemen. There are 51,000 TSA agents at the airports across the United States, and they make an average of $61,000 a year. So they get paid well for what they do. Now you do the math, and that costs the United States around $60 million a week to pay everybody. And Musk is willing to pay that money until the funding is passed. Now, over the last 5 weeks, that would be $300 million. And that's what Trump is going to pay, or not Trump, Musk is going to pay, and he's going to pay him going forward. So, I mean, that's a lot of money, $300 million. But in the big scheme of things, for a guy like Musk, $300 million, the guy's going to be probably the world's first trillionaire. So, it's probably just a little bit of a drop in the bucket for Elon Musk. So I got to say, this is fantastic. God bless Elon Musk and President Trump, true patriots working to keep the airlines running and the security of airline travel safe for the millions of Americans that fly every day. And yeah, it's nice to see people step up and do that. And he had another guy step up and drop 140 million before when there were shutdowns to to ensure that federal workers get paid for their work, especially essential services like TSA, police, firemen, and that kind of thing. Elon Musk at it again. Beautiful. So over to Iran, because there's a lot of news coming out there. It's getting crazy over there. So the first thing that happened was Iran launched 2 ICBMs at the U.S. base at Diego Garcia, a small island in the Indian Ocean. And here's what happened there, because this surprised the world. Iran claimed that their missiles can only go 1,300 miles, which would make them a regional threat. It's everybody in the Middle East, right? Now, Diego Garcia is 2,500 miles away, and those rockets were on their way and headed there. Now, one conked out and fell into the Indian Ocean, and the other one was shot down by a United States warship. But this surprised everybody. Nobody knew they had this extended range. They thought they could only fire them around 1,000, 1,300 miles. What does that mean? And why did it surprise everybody? Well, number one, Iran's been lying. They've been saying, no, we don't have that capability. No, we don't have that capability. They lie about everything. And number two is that puts every major city in Europe within range. London, Paris, Berlin, Bonn, everyone. Every other European capital is within range of their missiles now, 2,500 miles. A huge revelation, and changes the whole course of the war, because now they can threaten European countries, and they can make their threats come true. And the sad part about it is that European countries, for the most part, don't have the technology the United States and Israel have to shoot down these missiles. So at the end of the day, one could get through and totally devastate a major European city. Now, Tulsi Gabbard and other U.S. government officials, including Trump, has warned that Iran had the ability to strike a lot longer than they said they did. Even though they denied it, they said they could. And you know what? They were right. Trump, Gabbard, everybody, they were right. They do have that technology. They do have the ability to strike. So that's a big problem. And it's going to get worse if Trump doesn't keep taking out these missile bases and everything else. So it's a good thing that Trump took this path. It's a good thing that Trump never stopped after a week. And it's a good thing that Trump is totally committed to finishing his goal, to reaching his goal and finishing the job, something presidents haven't done over the last 20 years. He's eliminated a lot of these options. And, don't think that they couldn't put a nuclear warhead on one of these missiles and also fire it off, too. So it's not just, conventional explosives that go on these missiles. You could throw a nuke on there pretty easy. It wouldn't take much. And that would be a huge, major problem in Europe. But Trump's really basically eliminated this problem right now. And how much would it take for the Iranians to extend the range of their missiles to hit the east coast of the United States? Well, not that much. Not that much. Maybe another stage, adding a stage to the rocket. One stage goes, the other stage kicks in to boost it the rest of the way across the Atlantic. It's not that hard to do. And the Iranians were edging towards that goal of reaching Washington, D.C. and the East Coast. So it's a good thing these things are being taken out and they're not going to be a threat. And they would probably, even if they shot them at the United States, they wouldn't have a chance in hell of hitting anything, because the United States has such great technology on tracking these things and hitting them. Even from outer space, they can take them out. that they'd probably go off, but you don't want a nuclear bomb blowing off in midair neither. Staying with Iran, in the Strait of Hormuz, Trump has ordered A-10 Warthogs and Black Hawk choppers to fly the coast along the strait and take out batteries and fast boats positioned along the coast. Significant mission to clear the coast of danger to shipping. As well, Trump has said there will be no ceasefire because Iran is defeated and the bombing will not stop until the mission is completed. You don't call a ceasefire when you're winning the battle, is what he said. Trump has moved Marines to Kargi Island to occupy it, but I think it's a move to go into Iran further and find that nuclear material that they say they have. Who knows? It could have been moved out of the country by now to Russia, say. We'll see if the special forces move on that material and try to seek it out, try to find it. Now, a lot of people are asking, well, if Trump defeated Iran and took them all out, why are they still launching missiles? That's a great question. The Iranian military is set up as a network of what are basically independent militaries, almost proxies. So you have your main central command, and then you have all these other people around Iran who are generals, for the most part, who are running their own little pockets of resistance to the Americans. And they're the ones who are blowing off all the missiles, right? Now, the reason they set it up like that, and with proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, is that if another country went after their heads of state, like the United States did, they've wiped out three different ayatollahs. Basically, the one now, who knows where he is, if he's even alive. But what they've done is set it up like that, so if the main head of the snake gets cut off, the body doesn't die. They can still launch. So even though Trump's taken out a lot of them, most of them, there are still these little pockets that can still launch, and that's who's launching these things. They still have the ability to launch, even though he's taken out most of them. And they act on their own, so if Central Command's wiped out, they can still wage war on another country and fire these drones and missiles off. So that's why they're still being shot off. But that's going to end because as they shoot them off, they find out where they are and they blast them anyway. So there's 95% less missiles being fired right now than there was when this started. So they've taken out a lot of the batteries, and they're going to continue until they wipe them all out or they get a deal. And the Middle East countries are all getting sick of Iran attacking them anyway. Saudi Arabia says they're going to get involved. Now, the Saudis signed a pact with Pakistan several years back that says if Saudi gets involved, Pakistan, which is a nuclear power, by the way, also gets involved. So that would be a huge move by the Saudis, as Pakistan is not only a powerful country, but borders on the southeast corner of Iran and is definitely a threat to Iran. Pakistan is the world's seventh largest military with over 650,000 active personnel with extensive combat experience, F-16 and JF-17 jets in its air force, and a navy with 8 submarines, 9 frigates, and 7 corvettes, and a bevy of patrol aircraft, helicopters, and marine force. So, yeah, if they get involved, that's going to be very interesting. And Saudi Arabia has just about had it with them, as has Dubai and Kuwait and all the other UAE countries, along with Turkey, which is NATO. They fired on Turkey, which if NATO wanted to get involved, they could get involved to protect Turkey because they've been fired on. And if you fire on one NATO country, you fire on them all. So their 48-hour time limit by Trump is almost up. But Iran remains defined and threatens global targets, including cities in Europe and an invasion of the UAE. So Trump's deadline was supposed to end at 7:30 tonight, where he was going to go and wipe out all the power stations in Iran and send them back into darkness. Well, he's extended that 5 days because there was talks over the weekend, he said, and they went very, very good. They were very productive. So he has extended that deadline for 5 days, but uh, he's not being fooled by these Iranians. They always do this. They always extend a hand, and then they break whatever they say they're going to do. It's just a tactic to delay what should be happening at 7:30 tonight. And I don't think anybody trusts them at all, and that includes Trump. So we'll see what happens for the rest of today and tomorrow. Um, this may not last 5 days if they don't come through with their part of the deal. That's the way it works. But Trump is not fooled by their words. He knows what happened before. They get all these deadlines. They extend these things. They say they're going to do this and that. They don't do anything. They've lied and lied and lied and lied. And I don't think Trump believes them for a second. That's what they do. But being the guy Trump is, he does want to give them a chance to come to the table and end it before he has to go and wipe out all their power stations and everything else and attack them anymore. While this negotiation is going on, though, they're still firing off rockets and they're getting blasted by Israel and the United States. Yeah, it's not going to end just because they say they might open the Strait of Hormuz. That's what it's all about right now, opening that strait. That was the deadline he gave them on Saturday, I believe. 48 hours to open the strait. That ended tonight at 7:30. So if they didn't open it by then, there was going to be trouble. So he's extended it, thinking they may do that. But don't worry, he's not fooled by them, and their actions will dictate his next move in the next 5 days. If indeed the strait is opened, which here's what the negotiations are about, keeping it open, the price of gas will probably begin to drop pretty quickly. The markets are steady right now, but it will take a few weeks before the movement through the strait and the economy will take time to adjust for this. But if you have the confidence there that a deal can be reached and ships start going through the strait, unimpeded, and I would imagine the first few ships that go through are going to have some kind of protection on them because you can't trust Iran to keep their word, or these separate groups that they've established to keep the word of what Iran negotiators are. I mean, we have no idea who Trump is negotiating with, and we have no idea if any of these other groups agree with that kind of thing, or if they're going to keep their word. So who knows? But I'm sure the first few ships that get through there are going to have some kind of protection on them and have the U.S. military, some military, protecting them to make sure they get through okay. And once they start moving, then the confidence will be back and they'll all start moving through if nothing happens. So we'll see what happens um, with everything going on there. But it's a liquid, very fluid situation that changes minute by minute. As far as Trump announcing this morning, Iran has sent a message saying they never agreed to anything. That Trump's a big liar. He never got any kind of okay from them. Nothing's moving anywhere, and if they do, they're going to get blasted out of the water. So who knows? Who knows what the heck's going on? But at the end of the day, the confidence has to be there for these ships to start moving, which will bring down the price of gas once oil starts flowing. It's in the best interest of Asia, China, Japan, these countries to have it flowing freely because at the end of the day, they use the most. And of course, Europe as well. So we'll see. We have to wait and see. Like everything else, you can't trust what they say. You never know what they're going to do, and you got to let it happen. And once it does, we'll see if they keep their word and actually open the strait. If not, Trump will go in there and give them a blasting. So anyway, Gary Wilkins, that's it for me today. I have one last message here from Peter Dichter. Pete, wonder what flip-flop Carnage's response will be to the ballistic capabilities. Oh, he probably doesn't know about that yet. Oh, yeah, he probably doesn't. He's a stooge, but he'll probably say, "Well, that's all right. That's all right." Let's face it, Muslim values are Canadian values to carnage. So, whatever these guys want to do, it's fine with him. He don't care. He he never offered his help. He won't offer any help to the United States, which is the dumbest thing ever. I mean, you want to patch things up in the states. You want to get something going, and get Canada out of this crazy situation they're in with Trump. A really good extension of the olive branch would be to back them up against these Iranians and send some ships over there, although we don't have many, to help them guard the strait to get oil through. But he won't get involved. That's carnage. I mean, he was appointed to liquidate Canada. That's what he's doing. He's doing it really good, and that's what's going to happen. You think that being the 51st state is impossible? Well, not only is it possible, it's inevitable. That's my take on it. Anyway, thanks for the comments, John Ringo Beam and Pete and Peter Dichter. I got to get him in here. I project my 700th show will be on May 5th. And hoping Peter's home to join us because, he's been here for 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. It'd be nice if he was back from Naples, Florida by show number 700. And I was on his show last week. Oh, it was fun. We did a good show. You can check that out at us. Oh boy, I want to say Saga 6. I just look for the big show, Pete and Reet. You'll see where it is, and you can go in and listen to the show. And I'm on there towards the end, talking about the city of Niagara Falls and everything else. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from the studios of 4680Q, downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 noon. Promises made, promises kept. God bless you all, and enjoy the snowy rest of the day. Yeah, it's snowing out there. It's not sticking around, but it is snowing. Not something Peter Dichter has to worry about in Naples, Florida. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.